You're watching Ticket TV. Like, share, and subscribe on your way in.
Yeah, I don't see this ever stopping between these two. I think this is going to be something that goes on and on and on, you know, between these two, based off of the problems or the issues that, you know, Diddy and 50 have had. Um, right? I want to get into this. I want to get into this, right? Because this thing, it won't stop. It won't stop. Now, I saw a video. 50 was getting into it with Marlon Wayans over Diddy. And, 50 was telling Marlon Wayans, keep your name out my mouth, blah, blah, blah. And then he ran into Marlon Wayans, and, it was all cool with him and Marlon Wayans. They met up backstage. It was cool between 50 and Marlon. So I guess 50 didn't feel like it was that serious. But the situation with 50 and Diddy, it's gotten to a point now where, you know, Diddy's son, Christian Combs, he went online today. Uh, and when he went online, for some reason, it made him lash out. I think that Diddy has bad news coming to him. I'm just going to be honest with you. I think that Christian Combs made a point that I agree with certain aspects, that it should be certain other people that's jammed up because of the things they got going on. But people not going to respect what he's saying because of what, I'm saying, the perception they had of his father, period. So Christian Combs went online today and basically stated that, you know, um, you got all these celebrities and stuff. And some people say he was, whatever, dry snitching, but it is what it is. He said that you got all these celebrities uh, in the Epstein files, but his dad locked up, right? Again, so basically he posted in King Combs. He said, "My daddy was not in no Epstein files. Meanwhile, these celebrities roaming free while being in them. This is a sick world." That's what Diddy's son put up, right? Does that mean that he found out that his father may not win that appeal and may have to do that whole sentence, which caused him to lash out today? Christian Combs lashed out, right? Uh, who knows why he did that, you know? But 50 caught wind of it. So 50 responded. And when 50 saw that, 50 responded, and 50 told him, you know, basically, uh, your dad, 50 told him that your dad, he said, motherfucker, your dad was not in the files because he was creating his own files. That's what 50 told Diddy's son today, right? So this thing isn't ending, man. This thing with 50 and Diddy have been going on for a long ass time, bro. And I don't think it's gonna stop. I think it's gonna continue uh, for the foreseeable future, right? These guys have been going at it for years, man, and it got personal. I don't think it's ever no situation where with Diddy and 50 is gonna end up like what 50 and Marlon Wayans just did today, right? So this whole thing started. It's crazy because, like, if you read the reports, it's saying that 50 had allegedly ghost writ for Diddy while trying to rebuild his career after being shot 9 times and dropped from Columbia. And then it goes on to say that 50 name dropped Diddy, you not like me. You know what I'm saying? When he said, hoes be like 50, you so witty on my D like that hurt our ghost right for P. Diddy, right? And so then, it was all, seemed like it was all cool right there. All the way up all the way from what? The early 2001 and then 2005. The report said that when 50 tried to sign Mace, that's when everything went bad. When 50 tried to sign Mace to G Unit, It says that Diddy allegedly demanded an exorbitant buyout fee, which 50 saw as unreasonable, and just Diddy meddling with him on gatekeeping. So this often cited or was cited as a key trigger for 50's animosity towards Diddy. And then the next year in '06, 50 released a diss track, The Bomb, which included gunfire sound effects and directly accused Diddy of knowing who killed Biggie. In '97, lines like "Who shot Biggie Smalls, man? Puffy, know who hit that nigga." Diddy, has long denied, any of this involvement. And so it says that this escalated things significantly with, 50 criticizing Diddy's artistry and accusing him of exploiting Biggie's legacy. And then it went on. 50 mocking Diddy's music style, his dancing persona. And then in the mid 2010s, they really became rivals in the alcohol business when Diddy went and he did Ciroc and 50 went and did the F and vodka thing, right? And so 50 openly taunted Diddy, calling Ciroc, not even vodka, but grape juice, and things like this. And, 50, he made repeated, homophobic jokes about Diddy and accused him again of ties to Tupac's murder. And so, 50 has said he avoided Diddy's parties and free calls, the culture, because it wasn't his style. He framed his criticism as consistent over the years rather than him being opportunistic with the situation with Diddy. So then the freak off, the charges came with Diddy, in 2023, 2024, right? So that was after Cassie's lawsuit came out on 2023, right? Um, and in the hotel surveillance video, 50 posted memes going in on Diddy, like rubbing that shit in. So then in March of 2024, following the federal raids on Diddy's homes, 50 went online and posted that now it's not Diddy do it, it's Diddy's done. And they don't come like that unless they got a case. He said he mocked the situation with references to 1,000 bottles of lube and more. And so in September 2024, after Diddy's arrest on the charges, including racketeering and sex trafficking, 50 continued posting jokes and confirming that he was executive producing a documentary in which people thought he was capping. Then the documentary came out. He released a 4-part Netflix docuseries, Sean Combs' The Reckoning, right, which premiered back in December of last year, which covered Diddy's legal troubles, included interviews with associates and alleged victims, and featured footage related to that case. Now, critics noted that 50's longstanding beef was the potential motivation for this, though he defended it as shining a light on victims and what he had said he had been saying for 10 plus years about Diddy. He says Diddy, well, we all saw Diddy was convicted on the prostitution-related charges, but he was acquitted on the more serious charges, right? But 50 continued reacting to the developments, including potential pardon talk and the trial testimony when 50 came out and said, yeah, that nigga ain't getting no pardon. When everybody was talking about he was going to get that pardon from Trump, 50 said, I'm going to talk to Trump, make sure he don't get no pardon. So people thought that was hating and shit like that, but 50 didn't care. 50 said, yo, I'm putting full court pressure on this dude. So 50 and Diddy's son, they've had jabs back and forth. Diddy's son came out with a song going at 50. You know what I'm saying? And so this is just, it's like 50 be following that nigga just to keep rubbing that shit in. Like, and to me, what King Combs, what Diddy's son did today, it makes me question. And I'm going to do a video about this, a regular video on this channel. It makes me question, does Diddy's son have an idea that Diddy's going to lose that appeal? Because why would he go out there and put that out there today? Why would he be out there saying, yo, all these celebrities in the Epstein files, they walking free, but my dad locked up? And listen, he have a point. Like, it's a lot of people in them Epstein files that just walking around here like it ain't nothing. One of them is the president of the United States of America. One of them is the president of the United States of America. Now, of course, Diddy's son won't say that because that's just too much power right there. That's the type of dude, he can get so vindictive, he can find something to get something going on you. So, King Combs not going to say that, but he just left it short at the celebrities in the Epstein file. If somebody asked him to be specific, I still don't think he would say Trump's name because of that power. But for some reason, I believe he lashed out today for some reason on that. I believe he was so mad that it made him say something about that today. I believe that he may have found out, hey, or the lawyers may have told him, hey, man, It's not looking good. Your dad might not win this appeal. You never know. I mean, it could be either way. But for him to lash out and say that today, he must be feeling away. He must have talked to his pops. He must be feeling away. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just strange. He came out of the blue and said that today, and his pops just went up, and his lawyers just went up and just did the appeal hearing, and you still waiting to hear an answer back. So I don't know if the frustration setting in or what. You know what I'm saying? Or if he found out, he talked to his pops, maybe his pops told him it wasn't looking too good or whatever like that. Or maybe he found out some new information that we don't know, and it made him lash out. We don't know, man. You know, but 50, he definitely rubbing that shit in. 50 told the nigga, he said, yo, your dad's not in the Epstein file because he was too busy creating his own file. So 50 is continuing to keep pressure on this young man. That's to me, you know, dangerous situation between these cats. Because it keeps going and going and going and going and going. And you ask yourself, hey man, bro, if this shit don't slow down, it's gonna get ugly.
Hey guys, Ticket really hopes you enjoyed the content. There will be a link in the description box and pinned at the top of the chat room where you can go to the Ticket TV merch shop and purchase the exclusive merchandise for men and women. Thanks for your support, and he appreciates all sales.
Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure y'all click those links below. Subscribe to the podcast show. You can donate support to the channel, Cash App, PayPal, or buy that weight loss formula. All the links are below. Peace.